Hello and welcome to this very special installment of ACMi Sports. My name is Animo Osmani and I am here at the brand new studio space of ACMi in the Red Gym of Arlington High School. Today I'm going to be sitting with Arlington High School Athletic Director John Bowler to recap a very, what I would say, successful. What would you say, Mr. Bowler?
Very successful.
Awesome. First of all, thank you so much for joining me here today and taking a moment to talk about the year. But first, do you actually talk a little bit about yourself and what it means to be an athletic director? Because I feel like not many people know what you do behind the scenes for the high school and its athletics teams.
Yeah, no, so this is my third year as athletic director, finishing up my third year. Before that, I coached the basketball team here for 11 years. But being an athletic director, there's a lot of moving parts. Working on scheduling the games, referees, game staff, going to Middlesex League meetings, hiring coaches, making sure everyone's signed up on Family ID with their physicals and all the correct registration information dealing with student athletes, coaches, parents, admin staff, teachers. It's a lot.
Yeah, that list kept on going and it sounded like it was unfinished too.
Yeah.
No, it's wonderful work that you do and I think it's very apparent given the success of Arlington High School athletics. Correct me if I'm wrong, I think there's 3 sports seasons and each season you saw at least 2 varsity teams that made it into the playoffs, which is quite remarkable.
Yep.
And do you have any comment about that aspect of the athletics department?
Yeah, I think we had a great year. Like in the fall, we had over 443 athletes. We won 5 Middlesex League titles in the fall: girls soccer, boys cross country, boys cross country, and girls swimming. Girls cross country won the Middlesex League meet, which was great. Girls swimming won the Middlesex League swim meet. Our boys cross country team won the Division I-B state title. Which was the first time in school history. We had field hockey, boys and girls soccer, and and volleyball. Girls volleyball all made it to the Sweet 16 in the MIA Division I tournament. So, very, very successful fall.
And then the winter season, you had your hockey teams, both boys and girls, make it deep into the playoffs. Girls state finals, boys a nail biter away against the Varian, double overtime, 1 period. And then, of course, spring, softball, baseball, boys volleyball. And that's remarkable, having all these student athletes, these teams make it that far. But even the teams that didn't make it that far, one thing that really caught my eye this season is just the culture of all the student athletes that make up the athletics department. Because regardless of the result, win or loss, there's something that each student athlete shares, and that's the willingness to always compete no matter what. So how can you attest to this culture of being together as one unit, representing the Arlington High School Spy Pounders, and how it reflects on court, just to show them united at all times?
Yeah, I think this group this year was a special group of kids. When you come to high school, you play youth sports with the same group of kids growing up, from kindergarten on, and so when you get to high school, it's like the last chance you're going to compete together in a specific sport. And I think they love playing with their teammates. They love representing the town. They had a couple of years with dealing with COVID and limited state tournaments, not having state tournaments. So I think this year we were back to full state tournaments. I think the kids were excited to compete with their friends for Arlington High School, and get back to almost normal high school athletic season.
Yeah, and I would assume that first 2 years of athletic director was a bit a rough stretch, but somehow you, along with the entire athletics department, came together and pulled through. How would you describe the process or the relationships you've had with these students and these coaches and everyone related to the athletics department throughout the years that cultivated this amazing culture that you got going on here?
Yeah, I think we just have a great coaching staff, great athletic staff that at the first they care so much about the student athletes they have, and I think that's where it all starts. They love coaching the sport they're doing, and they love passing all their knowledge on to the student athletes, and so you hope these student athletes, will eventually, after your playing career's over, they'll get into coaching and give back. I think that, that's the cycle that we hope that, give to the students, whether it's at a high school level coaching, is it youth level coaching, but there's so many maybe parents and adults that have given up their time for these kids in youth sports, coaching, and growing up that we hope, when our kids get through, playing high school sports, that eventually someday they want to give back to the high school or give back to the youth programs that they were involved in.
Right, and we could take you, for example, former AHS basketball player and now the athletic director, so that's quite the full circle that you were just describing.
Yeah, it's pretty neat. I mean, I went here, I was a student athlete here. My homeroom was right across the hall from my office right now, so I really didn't make it too far in life, just right across the hall from here. And then being able to coach Arlington High was, one of the privileges of my life. Being able to coach a sport that, I played at Arlington High. It was just a dream come true. And then to be able to become the athletic director was unbelievable. To be able to, I was able to give back to my basketball program, which was 60 kids during, a season, where now I'm, involved with, almost 440 kids a season, get to have, involvement in them and help them, accomplish their goals and play the sports that they love. It's, it's a privilege and an honor that, I don't take lightly.
It really does sound like your dream come true, and I really find it admiring that you had this path to get to where you are now, and you're just so full of joy with it.
Yeah.
So that's amazing. Earlier, I briefly described the culture of Arlington athletics, but in your own words, how would you describe the culture?
I think these kids, are just mentally tough kids, physically, tough. They play hard. They give so much time and effort in their sport, before they even get to high school, and while they're practicing, a lot goes into what they, the game is just, the final aspect of, all the time and energy they put into it. And, these kids just care about, playing their sport. They care about doing the best for their teammates, and representing Arlington High School. It's fun to watch how much, it means to these athletes to put on a shirt that, says Arlington, across the chest, and go out there and do the best for, their teammates, their school, their families, and the community.
And what would you say is a mission statement that you would have for current athletes, returning athletes, and even incoming athletes?
I don't know. That's a tough one. I mean, I think I'm still growing my mission statement. 3 years with, it's been a hectic 3 years. I just want, every student athlete that comes in to have a positive experience, whether they're playing a lot on a team, whether they're playing a little. They know their role on a team, and they do their role to the best of their ability. Whatever their role is, they have to be an all-star at that role to help their team get the success they want at the end of the season. It can be some people's roles are, they just have to get their teammates better in practice, so they don't get a lot of game time. But they have to be an all-star in that role for a team to win a league title, because if they're not pushing their teammates in practice every day, they're not going to get better. So it's everyone, knowing their role and just being the best at their role that they can possibly be, will lead to success for every athletic team.
That was well said, and that's actually very beautiful in many ways. It's like each student is required to be a leader, but then now you have a group of leaders, and out of that leaders, of course, up top will always be the head coach. Yep. To keep them in check. But it's nice to say that they would have the self-initiative to make themselves better, but also to have different levels of leadership among themselves to create a well team-oriented environment. So that makes sense to me. And you said it's been a hectic 3 years. What would you say? What do you think the upcoming year would be like for you?
Yeah, I'm hoping next year, even throughout this year, at the beginning, the first season in the winter, there were still some COVID restrictions. Indoor sports had to wear masks. In the spring, there's really been no COVID restrictions on sports. So I hope next year is, a full, back to normal with COVID restrictions. I hope it's, it's kind of a normal year like we were back, before I became AD. Like when I was a coach, like everything was just normal. Like all the students had to worry about was just, going to school, going to class, getting to practice, working hard, and playing the sports they love. That's what I want to get back to. These kids having a normal life, in school, out of school, and on the athletic field.
And speaking of athletic fields, along with the COVID crisis that they have to deal with, they're also dealing with the reconstruction project, the renovation project. So a lot of athletic facilities are still spread out.
Yeah.
And are you looking forward to actually start consolidating them into a lot closer proximity to the main base here at Arlington High School?
Yeah, it'd be great. Once, I think it's spring of 2025, so a few years away, like when we have the two other new turf fields outside. It'll be great once everyone is kind of right near the high school. We'll have right now we're down to like basically one gym at the high school. It'll be nice getting all our gyms back once this project's done, getting our fields back outside. I think it'll be great for the student body because you could be watching a baseball game that can walk over to a lacrosse game, or just walk another 50 yards and you're at a softball game or a track practice. So it'd be great to be able to have for our student athletes to follow other teams. Like they could finish practice and then go over and watch a baseball game. So I think it's going to be spectacular once everything's done and the new school's done. It's going to take Arlington High athletics to a different level.
I know, right? And I could imagine how excited for the whole community to have that spectacular moment that you're just describing. But so far, how have you been managing this delegation of fields, practices, schedules, among the fact that you're dealing with this renovation project?
Yeah, so we it's like a lot of having meetings with coaches, talking to coaches. We have we have to share turf time. Sometimes it's like you get a little less turf time. Sometimes you'll have football practicing with field hockey on the same turf and using half. I think our coaches do a great job of communicating with each other, working out the turf schedule. So, the kids aren't here till 10 o'clock at night, so I think it's a lot of planning, a lot of organization, but, our coaches, are very flexible, and our athletes here are flexible, and so it's worked out well so far, and hopefully we get through the next couple of years.
Right on, and you really are facing a very particular set of unique challenges as an athletic director.
Yeah.
And I think you've been managing it pretty well just by seeing what's apparent. I'm here in this space a lot, and then I see the girls volleyball team practicing, and then out of nowhere the girls basketball game starts, and then right after that a boys basketball game starts. It's like this gym will never see any dead time. Same thing with the football field out there. There's no dead time. Once the football team is done, the boys soccer team is there, and once they're done, the girls soccer team is there, and the field hockey team is there. It's like everyone's just so active and productive.
Oh yeah.
5 days a week, maybe 6 or 7 days a week.
Yeah, it's like 6 days a week. I mean, it's like I said, it's a great problem to have. We have so many student athletes, so it's a great problem to have. But like our coaches, like I said, it's they design their practice schedule for whatever time they have and whatever field they have, and they do a great job of keeping the teams organized and keeping the teams ready to compete.
Great problem to have, you say. I heard that the running teams of Arlington High School just reached a record high. You had 173 runners on the roster?
Yeah, this outdoor season, we had a lot of boys and girls on the outdoor track team, which is great. It's a lot of kids competing, a lot of kids being part of a team. So it's great to see, and we just want we want kids coming out to teams, playing, being part of a team is it's definitely an aspect of school. To me, it's like being on a team, showing up to practice every day, working hard, being on time, giving your all. It's a great, it's great, trying to think of the word, it's great to have, going forward for these, student athletes, when they go for a job in the future. Like if you play an individual sport, it shows you can work on your own. If you play a team sport, it shows you can work together in an environment. So like, I think playing sports it's going to help you get jobs down the line, because I think mostly everyone has played some type of sport and can relate to being on a team, or being on playing an individual sport. You have to be able to work by yourself and get work done on your own, but also, having a team aspect, being able to work as a team, for one goal and to get work done.
That's very true. There's a particular set of lessons that someone can learn just by playing a sport.
Lessons, life skills.
Life skills that many people might not be able to experience if they're on a sports team. But my personal favorite lesson that I learned from sports is that no matter what goes wrong, you still have to push on, because in the end, you might still come up on top, but if you don't, you still have the feeling that you tried. Like basketball, there's mess ups throughout the entire game, turnovers, misses. But you just can't hold on to that moment, that one wrong moment. You just got to go back and play the next play, score, and in the end, you just could possibly win and feel victorious. But not.
I mean, I watch a lot of TV and shows, and if you don't, to be successful, you're going to have to fail a number of times. So through sports, losing games, maybe not playing your best game, you think it's a failure, but it's not. It's just getting to your end goal. So if you're not putting yourself out to possibly fail, you're not giving yourself the ultimate to succeed ultimately. Because if you don't, everyone in life who succeeded has failed and got back up and kept going. So sports that give you lessons where you fail, or you not even fail, you don't reach your goal, but it's like you got to keep you learn what you did to not get the goal, learn how to learn more to how to get to accomplish your goal.
Reminds me of like a Lego set. You have the end results, you got to start from bare minimum, and then you just got to build your way to that final product. And along that way, you might just miss a piece, or it might break down, and then either way, as long as you make it to that end result, it's a wonderful lesson to be taught.
Yes.
And so that was well said. That was a great conversation. Thank you for those kind words. And speaking of kind words, you said a lot about these student athletes. Is there anything you would like to share to the student athletes and their parents and their families?
Yeah. Well, first, I talked about the fall season. Like in the winter, we had we had 2 teams win league titles, wrestling and field hockey, wrestling and girls ice hockey. And they actually won. Both teams have won 4 straight league titles, which is pretty incredible for those seniors. They won a league title every single year of their career. We had a student athlete, Dennis Cha, for the wrestling. He won the Division I state title, and he won the all division state title in wrestling, which was a huge accomplishment. We said boys and girls hockey. Boys made it to the Final Four in the state, the last public school team standing. Girls hockey made it all the way to the state finals, with the last public school standing in girls hockey, which was the first time they made it to the state finals, I believe, which is a great accomplishment. In the spring, boys baseball won the league title. We had Emily Bell on the girls track team. She won the pole vault Division II state title. We had a number of track athletes compete in the all-state title, which was great to see. And we had, in the winter we had 367 athletes. In the spring we had 444 athletes. So it's, I think it's just a great year all around. For all successful teams. And I just want to, thank the parents, and the student athletes for, first student athletes for, representing Arlington High School. It's a lot of work these days where, kids are, have a full course load in school, preparing for college, working jobs outside school, to give their time up to compete and represent Arlington High. I want to thank them because it definitely, it makes, the community, it's a great part of the community when teams do well and teams are just competing, and you have so many athletes competing. I want to thank them for putting the time in wanting to play athletics. I want to thank the families for all the work they've done to get their student athlete to this level. Driving the kids around for all sports from like I said, from first grade on, different tournaments probably throughout New England, maybe nationally. To put them in the best position to succeed when they get to high school athletics. It's great to see. And then the community, we had a lot of great community games. A lot of for attendance, like in the girls' state finals, we had a huge crowd from the community, not just the school. For all the state tournament games we held here, huge crowd. The little kids, from youth sports coming, the parents bringing them. It's so key for those kids to see, where they can go, and where they can play, early on, so they want to put more time and energy into sports when they're growing up. Because I think playing sports is a huge part of your development, and like the earlier you get into sports, the better. And it's not sticking with one sport. It's playing. When you're a young kid, elementary school, junior high, you should be playing every sport. Seeing what you love. And giving every sport an opportunity. Because there's so many sports at Arlington High that it's maybe one's not a fit, but there's so many you can play. So it's just playing as much sports as a young kid.
They have the energy for it too.
Right.
Like you play those video game characters, and the only motion you have is jogging and running. And
Yep.
I see these little kids, and they're just like that. There's no such thing as walking full speed all day until bedtime.
Yeah, no, it's great. It's great to see. So I just want to thank the families, thank the students, thank the staff for putting so much time and energy to make Arlington athletics what it is, and a special place to work, special place to to participate in athletics, and it's just a great. I lived in Arlington my whole life, and I wouldn't want to live any other place. It's just to me, it's a special place. It's definitely changed a lot through the years, but it's changed. It's definitely in some aspects changed for the better, and it's it's just a great place. And the alumni who come back, who are there's people who graduated here 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago, come back, and I get to talk to them about their experiences here, and it's just it's great to see people that want to come back and talk about Arlington athletics from the past and like where it's going in the future. It's it's just the future looks bright, and once the school project's done with the new building, I think it's just going to go up and up.
I'd say so too, and I'm sure, even though you gave your thanks to the community, I'm sure that they also are thankful to you for facilitating these opportunities you've been providing these student athletes for, as long as you've been an athletic director, and even before that when you were a head coach of the basketball team. So there's a lot you've done for the community, and I'm sure it's very recognizable, especially now that we know exactly what you do, even though you didn't finish that long list of the things that you do. So we thank you. And also thank you for sharing those words to the community. We appreciate it. And one last thing going into next year, what are some expectations you have for yourself and the department?
I think I'm looking forward to like I said, like a normal year. Having success. By success, to me is having so many student athletes playing sports. One thing the next year is I'm not going to have any athletic fees next year, so students don't have to pay any money to play sports, which is the first time in a long time that it's happened, and it took a lot of work from our new superintendent, our CFO, and the business office put a lot of time and energy into seeing how we can do it. And so that's going to be, I think it's huge for the future, not having student athletes pay to play sports, because. Right now, like the past years, it ranges, athletic fees range from $100 to $700. So now every student will have the right, be able to play without having to pay an athletic fee is huge. And, there's a couple of schools in our league that do it, but a lot of the schools you're still paying. So I think, we owe a lot of credit to our new superintendent, our CFO, and everyone that, came together to figure out how it could work to get this done.
Right, and you've had a lot of student athletes this year on the roster. Would you see it growing with this new this opportunity that they're being faced with now?
Yeah, I hope so. I think not having to pay for sports, and I think it's great. I mean, we'll see if it generates some more activity, student athletes playing. We have a lot of playing already, so I think it's going to be interesting to see how the next year goes.
Very interesting, and you're right. There are a lot of changes that just keep on happening, and sometimes for the better. And you just listed a few. One of them, no student athlete fees, so that's great. Wonderful news for the community, and I hope they capitalize on it. But I think those were the final words, and that's it from me. Any last comments that you would like to make?
No, I just want to thank ACMi for covering all the games this year. It's great for the students to be able to watch themselves play, and especially last year ACMi, like when we had restrictions with like no fans at games, like being able to live stream the games on YouTube, and I want to thank everyone at ACMi for promoting Arlington High athletics in such a great light since I've been here.
Yeah, and it's definitely been a pleasure on our behalf being able to go to all these home games and live stream it or even cover it just for everyone to look at it on demand at any point at their convenience, keep it as a memory. And yeah, and thank you for being so accommodating for allowing us to be there. I always call you like, hey, can I have this particular spot? And you're like, sure, of course.
Yeah.
Can I do this interview? Of course. Gives the students, athletes, their media recognition. I was like, yo, thank you so much. You allow me to do my job, and you get a big benefit out of it too.
Right. Oh yeah, no, it's a great partnership.
Thank you very much, and I think that'll do it for this interview. I have been speaking with the athletic director, John Bowler, and we thank you for your time for watching this. I'm Anim Osmani, ACMi Sports, and we hope you stay tuned in to all our future content.